All right, we're live.
Alrighty, well, welcome back everyone to our Money Talks, AC Money Talks. Um, with preparing for this conversation today, I was looking at like what we have for the topics for September, and I was like, oh, financial preparedness, and I was like, this kind of goes in line with how I've been feeling and recently, and
Mm,
I kind of put down like just a conversation in regards to where people are at, where I'm at, where you are at in regards to finance. And things are a
yeah,
little bit tough right now across the board. I mean, in life, when it comes
yeah,
to politics and all that, yeah, we're a little all frazzled, but even
yeah,
financially speaking, I feel like a lot of people have been in a very tough position where outside of COVID, financially, a lot of things have shifted. And
yeah.
that has probably put strain or concern or worry on certain individuals, especially even when it comes to the job market. So I kind of want to open up the conversation with the question to you of how do you honestly feel right now about your money and the money experience you've been having?
So it's weird. I actually feel very good about my money, like current state.
Mhm,
And that it's like I have a very steady paycheck. I don't have to worry about not being paid on time.
mhm,
Um, I feel very secure in that.
mhm,
Um, But then when I think about like future me, and I've been thinking honestly more about, well, am I saving enough? Am I
mhm,
investing enough? Are we protected enough for anything to come up? Or even just thinking like, are we setting ourselves up for our future selves to be okay, and
mhm,
that we have enough of investments to retire early or to have the things we want? Like, I know that we're okay right now, like we have the emergency savings, we have some investments, but to know that we will have that financial freedom when we want to have that freedom, that's something that I'm nervous about right now. And I
mhm.
feel like it's a little bit more, but I feel like to an extent, I I don't want to be that nagging wife that like bothers her husband, like, are we gonna be okay? And he's like, why are you worrying about 15 years from now? And I'm like, I don't know. So like that's where I'm trying to get out of my head and not be so worried in that piece. And
Mhm.
at the same time, I'm not necessarily worried about myself, but I have many friends who have either lost their jobs or are looking for jobs right now. Many friends, actually, I can name at least five off the top of my head that
Yeah.
are all looking for jobs or are in unstable work environments. And not even saying toxic, just unstable.
Yeah.
And they just don't know if they're even going to have a job. And that is inside and outside of the government. So I can't even say that it's like one particular sector. So that's where I recognize that I am okay.
Mhm.
Um, Especially because I'm very fortunate that we live basically off of like one income.
Yeah.
But I am very aware that not everyone is in that same position. And I kind of
Mhm.
feel bad in that, like, I wish I could help more, but I'm not really hiring, nor, well, I'll say for right now, nor is my company really hiring in the country.
Yeah.
So they're hiring a lot outside of the US.
Okay.
So because of that, well, my company's more North American. So US and Canada, they're hiring more on the side of India. So
Yeah.
because of that being in tech, like it's it's tough if people are looking to get into, especially the tech space, for companies that are like mid-size to
Mhm.
smaller. They're outsourcing more of their tech, which is for financial reasons.
Yeah.
Um, I am curious to see how that landscape is going to change now that the Federal Reserve is lowering interest rates a quarter of a point, but that's just how I'm feeling right now. How are you feeling with everything?
Yeah. I'm kind of in the same boat as you in the sense of like having my own internal experience of, yes, I am financially secure. My biggest thing is looking at my emergency fund and saying, okay, it's still all there. Like that's one thing I always like left is like, okay, we're good. But like similar to you, I think especially once you start to get into a place of really honing your financial future, you start looking 10, 15, 20 years down the line. And
Yeah.
because everything's very tight right now, I'm not concerned about Shantae today as much as I am concerned about Shantae in the future. Like,
Yeah.
things have gotten tighter for me. I've kept with a job longer than I've ever had before because the job
Mm.
market looks the way that it does, and also because of the fact of just wanting a little more flexibility with my timing. So that means that the increases in pay that I would have been used to receiving at this point, I haven't quite gotten that. So part of me is like, okay, am I stunting future Shantae by not pushing like I
Mm.
have in the past? I've always been every 2 to 3 years we're looking to increase our pay by 10%. That's kind of
Right.
always been my thing. So me being in this job for 4 years, I'm like, ooh, this is long. And this is the longest I've ever been in a position. But not even just that, it's just more or less the fact of like, how is this impacting my fire goals? How is this impacting saving
Yeah.
for down payment for certain things, or like my plans that I have overall overarchingly for my future? So I think my future I'm more concerned about. My present, for the most part, if I don't eat out too much, I'm good. Those types of situations. But
Right.
like you said, I think I'm in the same boat of looking at what's happening in my own personal self, but then putting it in perspective as to the larger goal of like you said,
Yeah.
people unfortunately are losing their jobs and secure jobs that we thought were secure for years,
Yeah.
this new is stable or not as stable as they were before, and the price points of certain items to buy around haven't dropped. Housing is still very expensive and high. So there's a lot of like
Yeah.
pinch and strain points that we have in various areas financially that I know some people are really out in the cold in that
Yeah.
experience. And I'm like, okay, my heat isn't up all the way like I like it. I'm not toasty, but I'm inside. So I'm trying to
Yeah.
like be cognizant of the fact of that, which I think that's been really humbling, but also I'm kind of like in this nervous place of like, I don't want to just say, well, at least you're good, because I want to keep pushing forward, but at the same time, I
Yeah.
want to be understanding to like all the other people that are experiencing stuff as well. So I think, which kind of leads me to like when I was preparing a lot of this information for, and like National Preparedness Month being September, the idea of
Mhm.
natural financial preparedness is like we talked about before. What's your savings looking like? What's your emergency plan looking like? Do you have insurance for various different things? Like if an
Yeah.
emergency happens, which we've talked about in the Spark program, we have that in the ebook. Like, what do you do when the worst thing happens? When your
Exactly.
job says no longer we need you, or for some reason something happens with the house and now you're out of money, or something happens with the car. What do you do in
Yeah.
those situations? Are you prepared for that? I think for myself, I am prepared, but I am concerned about the individuals I talk to, my friends and my family members.
Yeah.
Where if one major thing happens in their life, it's a cascade of issues that happen. I don't know if you know or if you experience that same feeling of like, wow, I'm good, but other people aren't, or maybe you're not as good as you would like to be.
Yeah, definitely experience more so for like family and friends, especially those that I know have been working to like get out of debt,
Mm-hmm.
or working to like have more of a stable income, and then something hits for them. So like basically while they were working to get this stable income, they were building an emergency fund, but like they might have been in really beginning stages. And so
Mm-hmm.
because of that, when the emergency actually hit, it's more so kind of set them back. Like maybe they had to use everything that they saved and then maybe a little bit on a credit card. Like
Yeah.
that's how the funding was. And I've definitely thought about it, especially over the past year where I've had to have surgery and had to use some of my savings in order to like cover what the insurance didn't.
Mm,
Like insurance is like a whole nother thing that like
girl.
kills me. It
Yeah.
kills me. But like in the meantime, I've just been in a state where I am glad that I've prepared that as much as I have, but it also makes me think like if something were bigger that happened, like
Uh,
if my expenses, like if I had more expenses, like right now I don't have a car note. So like if I had a car note or if we had like a bigger place, like a bigger house, what would that look like for a water heater or a yard or something like that? I've seen like crazy things happen that people have to spend, especially if
yeah,
their house is older, like made, I'll say in the 70s and younger. Like then they'll have more housing expenses for repairs than most people have to. And that's where I'm seeing things where like friends of mine don't really have emergency funds because the house that they decided to buy had asbestos
yeah.
and
Oh,
they had to like completely remediate everything
that's everything. Yeah.
out of pocket.
Whew.
Yeah.
Ouch. Yeah. No, I totally get that. If anything, I'm kind of in the same. I'm like, I'm thinking about the fact of one, with the CAC work that we do, of course, educating as much as we can for people and spreading the word and awareness of like financial literacy of things that you need to do. But like even speaking to my family and friends, if anyone's bringing up like, oh, I have had this experience, or like I was recently having a conversation with a friend where they're like, oh, I saw that their phone provider on the
Mhm.
internet provider was like there's a new one that's a little bit cheaper, and I was like, oh, I'm using this moment to tell them, oh, do you know that you can always double check you should check every 6 months or after the time period of your plan with your provider to see if there's a promotion they'll give you without having to make changes, like stuff like that, where I'm talking to
Yeah.
people, I'm making more of a conscious effort to see, hey, how can I insert information, especially when it comes to like how to safeguard yourself, because that's what I feel like
Yeah.
a lot of people are in this position of what seemed to be stable and safe is not stable and safe any longer,
Yeah.
and their emergency plan is not as wide and broad. Even for myself, looking at my emergency fund, I do this often, and I've been considering to do it as Q4 is coming up on us. I'll go through and say, okay, when it comes to the emergencies that I have or the things I need to sustain my life, not like the fancy life, but just the regular basic things.
Yeah.
How much do I have in my emergency fund for that? And if I feel like we're in a tight spot, whether that be nationally or myself, or I'm going into something a little bit more risky, I add more to my emergency fund so that my
Mm.
padding is a little bit larger and wider, to make sure I feel comfortable going through that process. Like if I know that for some reason, like the industry that I work in right now does touch the government. It's not as direct as some other people. I work within the healthcare region of government. So things trickle down on a state level to us. So we haven't quite felt all of the experiences of what's been happening at the national level, but for the most part, I know that that may impact me. So I need to look and see, okay, what about my emergency fund do I need to shift? Do I need to add a couple more months worth of
Yeah.
coverage in case something happens to me? So I'm in that place of thinking that way and also trying to educate people to do the same. I don't know if you kind of also think that way in regards to your plans.
Yeah, especially when it comes to family and friends. So the ones who know that I'm talking about like finances, especially my mom. So my mom's been retired for a few years now,
Mm-hmm.
and she had before prior to retiring, she worked at the federal government for like 30 something years. She was well within retirement age when she left, but
Mm-hmm.
the the struggle was that when I would say struggle, she ended up buying an annuity
Mm-hmm.
with like part of her TSP, like their version of like a 401k or a 403b. She ended up taking some of that money out to get this like safe annuity. And the part that always sounded really odd to me is when she said that, well, if the market goes up, your money goes up, but if the market goes down, your money stays the same. And I was like, mm, house, right? So I was very confused. So when I actually talked to her, or I'll say this. So being that my mom knows what I do, she was like, well, I know I'm not really sure
Hmm.
financially like what to do. Like, can you come to a session with me? They only
Mm,
happens once a year. And I was like, okay, well, she asked, so I'm gonna make the time to go.
yeah.
And when I listened to her or listened to the person, and listened to the financial associate firm,
Hmm.
it turns out that they are based in, like, their foundation is that they work with people who are looking for retirement and safe areas for their money.
Big part. Yeah.
Because there are safe areas in the money, your money that they invest with you actually is not in the market. It
Mm,
it follows the market.
market. Got it.
Never heard of that before. So it doesn't even run in this regular index funds that I'm familiar with that you might get from like a Schwab or a Vanguard. So I was so confused. I was like, Mommy, you've had your money in there 6 years. Why is it not doing anything? And she was like, Well, I've taken the money out. I was like, Well, even outside of that, the growth
Yeah.
that you've received is maybe like 3 to 4%. So it turns out
Mhm.
that it actually was income based. So like it was more for the people who needed income from it. Like say they didn't get enough Social Security
Mm,
or they didn't have a TSP that they put into. But my mom had all those things. So she didn't even need to put her money in there.
wow.
When I say like the last year it had 1.45% growth, I was like, this is nuts. So you're
Yikes.
actually losing money because inflation, the
Listen,
average is 3%. And we've been dealing with inflation around 5% on average
on
for the
average.
past 4 or 5 years. So you've been losing money. So
Yeah.
I convinced her to like open a Vanguard and all this. But I say all this to say is that there are people around us who are not knowledgeable, and not because they don't necessarily want to be. It's a very complex system, and
Correct.
retirement is completely separate from just a budget.
Mm-hmm.
Like retirement is completely separate from like how you have to think about like investing and things like that. And the only reason my mom even came to me with it, she's like, well, I want more growth, but I
Mm-hmm.
want to manage my risk. I was like, okay, well then you need an ETF. And she's like, okay, well, what's that? And like breaking all of those things down. But that was something that I would say, if people are trying to figure out what to do with their money, say they have like savings set up, they've hit like at least their emergency fund,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, well, what do I do next? I've always preached investing.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily that you have to invest in stocks. And investing in real estate is like very tough to get into first. Because,
Higher entry point for that one. Yeah.
yeah, because you have to have that down payment. And of course, if you're looking to invest in anything now as far as real estate, you can't really get a livable property, depending on the area, for less than 150K. So like
Yeah.
that's not even a thing if you, and I'm talking about having like renters and all that stuff, considering property managers
A
and all of
lot more
that.
goes into that experience than just the,
Exactly.
yeah, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. So just thinking about that as investing,
Mm-hmm.
like, there are so many options that people can have. I think it's really important for people to stay knowledgeable. That's why I'm so glad that we do these types of conversations and looking to do more of them, where people can feel comfortable asking questions and being comfortable knowing that you don't have to know everything, but it's important to know something, just
Yeah.
enough for you to at least be able to take action on
Mhm.
whatever it is that you're
Yeah, no, and I'm so glad that you gave that story about your mom because I feel like what that shows is about two things. One, how education of different vehicles makes the world of difference because what you're talking about through that annuity and investing, whether that be Vanguard, Robinhood, or whoever, these are vehicles to use. And depending on your circumstance, some vehicles don't make sense for you,
doing.
but you have to
Exactly.
know the vehicle or what the vehicle even looks like. It's like almost like getting into a car blindfolded and starting to drive and be like, I'm in a BMW. They put you in a Honda. and you don't even realize you're in a Honda. It's just that
Exactly.
simple of like the fact of you think the experience is going to get you a certain place or give you a certain experience. You're like, why is it not driving as fast as I thought it was, or why is the clutch not working the way it's supposed to, or whatever the case may be. And it's because you're not aware of the vehicle, and especially in times where it's dire. I feel like a lot of times, and you and I can both speak to this, where either
Yeah,
ourselves or family or friends, because it's dire, you're wanting a result as quickly as possible. So for
exactly.
that reason, you may not make the best decisions if you're not sure what you're actually doing. So you're going
Yep.
out there saying, "Oh yeah, I just invested in this new XYZ experience," and we're like,
Hmm.
that doesn't give you what you think it's going to give you, because you have to
Right.
understand the vehicle first. So I think that ties into the second part of like, before us even like working as CAC, I think we've separately in our own experiences for our family and friends have done the work of CAC of, hey, tell me what you got going on, what's on your plate, what's your concerns or struggles, and then from there, let's see what makes sense for you. Let me educate
Right.
you on this and this information. Maybe this is a better thing for you. Of course,
Right.
you are your own person to make your decisions, but a lot of the times we fail because we don't have the education necessary to know what needs to happen. And I hate when I've worked with clients in the past where they're making rash decisions because they're emotionally or financially in a tough spot. Where
Yeah.
either one, I just got to get a job. So honestly, give me anything you got. Or I
Hmm.
need some money quickly. So he said it's 50% increase. I'm going to throw it in there. And it's like, these sound good on the surface, but what does
Right.
that deeply mean for your future, and how does that impact you holistically? Which I think
Yeah.
that kind of brings me to the spot of like talking about how CAC has been trying and working to support individuals in regards to preparedness as well as in regards to educating them in these experiences. I know for us, I'm very excited about the Spark program because that's the moment we get to talk to people one on not one on one in a group setting. You come together, we talk about different topics and what you've been dealing with in your week, in your day, in your time period. You can bring that to the table and say, "Hey, I know we're learning about budget. I am struggling on how to make this dollar stretch." Or, "Hey, I know that you've been talking about investing, but I have absolutely no idea what I'm supposed to do. I made the platform and all the numbers blurred over in my mind." Like, stuff like that you can say
Yeah.
to us. And I love that, to be able to talk to somebody, because to me, personal finance is personal. So that Spark experience gives that an opportunity for them to learn on their personal own situation. But yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. And to even take it a step back, I feel like Spark actually provides just an area for people to be transparent about money.
True, true.
You kind of touched on that when you said that we talk about our week in like relation to money.
Mhm.
We've had people say that they got refund checks, or that they just came into a different situation with money and were trying to figure out what to do with it. Or they were
Mhm.
budgeting for the first time and opened the spreadsheet and was like, where do I start? Or
Yeah,
started with an app and wasn't sure what they were looking at.
yeah.
So I think just getting comfortable with the conversation is so important, because money is one of those things that typically, we've talked about this before, we didn't talk about it when we were growing up.
Mhm.
It's not something that people like talking about at a cookout. I laugh because I remember talking to my mom before, and I was like, yeah, I want to talk to people. This is when I was like first learning about budgeting and was really excited and about the opportunities. And I was like, Mommy, they don't want to talk about investing. And she was like, I think you make them uncomfortable. And not because you're making them uncomfortable, but the topic itself has so many emotions tied
Oh,
to it that they want to step away from the person that's going to make them uncomfortable. So they want to drink the drink or they want to eat the food, but they don't necessarily want to talk about those things,
yeah.
because what's making you excited because you see opportunity, they see scarcity. And that hit me, because
Ooh.
I didn't think about it like that.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't think that me being so excited for something that I wanted to share knowledge of made other people shrink, to be
Mm.
honest. And that made me even more passionate about like, well, how can we start to make this a more comfortable conversation? And that's what I think Spark does. That's what I think like our other offerings of just like these money talks, allowing people to talk to us or allowing people to hear us makes it a more just common conversation where people don't feel the need to hide how much they make, whether or not they have multiple streams of income, whether they are doing well. Like, because not everybody's doing well in every area. Like, there's definitely
Correct.
been some days where my investments like hit, like hurt, especially earlier this year with like tariff talk. Like, ugh, my
Yeah.
investments were hurting for like a good month or two.
Yeah.
Um, but just to have those conversations, allow people the space
Yeah. The
to
space.
have that conversation and not feel judged, not feel ashamed. Because, like I said before, there's so many emotions that come with money. I literally have had people say that they feel like their financial situation is choking them
Yeah.
because they don't know how to come out from where they are, whether that's credit card debt or, oh gosh, especially student loans.
Yes.
Because I think for me, I had such high student loans that my student loans were higher than what I made in my salary.
Mm.
And so I just felt like at a point, this is never going to get better
Yeah.
because I'm fighting interest at this point, not even what the initial principal was. And
Correct.
I didn't know who to talk to even say, like, well, are you feeling the same way? And not in a way of like, oh, we're all just going to drown. Like, I don't want to be in those conversations. Like, that's not, we're gonna swim. We're gonna get above.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just to say that, dang, like I can't be the only one feeling this way, right? And then you hear somebody say, dang, I thought I was the only one.
Yeah.
That's how you start to connect with people more. And that's how you start to make a plan
Yeah.
and not feel like you're drowning so much.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think that that is the bedrock of how we just like for myself, how I wanted to go about CAC and the Spark program and
Mm,
the ebook that we have is the idea of there are more people than you realize that are out there either struggling like you, more than you. It's tough out there. And more
yeah,
than ever now, things are getting tighter. I think when we
yeah,
were younger, we were hoping that things would feel a little bit lighter when we get to a certain age. But no, actually, it gets a little bit more complicated sometimes to figure it all
yeah,
out. And then on top of it, you weren't given tools when we first started this entire process. So it's one thing to be like, oh, you were given an entire tool belt and you didn't use it. It's like, dang it, you use it. But we
right,
weren't given an entire tool belt. Maybe we got the belt at best. Some people didn't even get a belt. So, with
right,
that being said, I know there's a lot of shame and feeling like I should have it all together now, or feeling stuck, or feeling,
yeah,
like you said, that there's something around your neck and you're trying to have the cookout experience or go out with your friends and you're like, I can't keep up, or I don't know what to do here, or just feeling super lost.
mm,
I always feel like when it comes to CAC, our main a selling point of like supporting other people is we see you or meeting you where you're at. There's
yes,
a lofty goal of a lot of aspirations that are on social media, and you can read blogs. And this person at 17 years old made $6.7 million. Great. That's wonderful for them. Claps. But really, truly, right now, I'm trying to figure out how to rub these two pennies together. And
yeah,
I'm 35.
facts,
Or I am about to retire and I have zero money to my name. That is a reality for some people. And
yeah,
instead of feeling like, oh, well, nobody's here with me, I'll stay quiet and not learn, the idea for working with CEC, being a part of the Spark program, reading the book, being in any of our other services that we're going to be offering and things of that nature is to be able to say, hey, we see you, speak about what's natural to your life right now, and let's see how we can bring you from point A to point B. And even if
yeah,
point B is, I know more now, so I can do more now. That in
right,
itself is a large like uptick of like, hey, I can do more because I know more, even though that doesn't solve all of your problems. At least I have more tools in my belt to go after what I have to deal with. And we all, even us, working with money as long as we have been,
yeah,
feeling as confident as we do in money, there are tough times and you need people to talk that through. And you and I will have conversations saying, what you doing with your investing here? Oh, have you used this budget plan for so and so? And the more comfortable you feel with money talk, the more likely you are to get tools to help you through that entire process. But yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah. With that being said, I feel like just kind of what would you say to kind of wrap this all up as a last final thought to someone who may be feeling ashamed or overwhelmed or stuck with money? What would you say to them now to help them see like this is probably the next step for them, or just words of encouragement?
Yeah, as words of encouragement, I would first say there's nothing to be ashamed of. Absolutely nothing. We all make mistakes. I continue to make mistakes with money, but you learn from them, just like you do with
Yeah.
anything else in life. And that's probably like the hope part of it.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna butcher this saying, but what is it like the best time to invest was 10 years ago. The next best
Mhm.
time is now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I won't say that's just with investing. Like the same goes for budgeting. The
Budgeting.
same goes for just being informed. Like
Yes.
I think that's the thing. D don't hide from your money troubles. They don't go away. They only get worse. So
Yeah.
you hiding away from that bill in the white envelope means that you will eventually get a bill in a pink, and then you will eventually get a bill in a red, and
Yeah.
there has to be a shut off notice. Like
Yeah.
you hiding from it, and now I know most people do their stuff electronically, so you'll just get some emails, but it's this concept is the same.
Yeah.
And it's no use in hiding it.
Yeah.
And the best thing you can do for yourself is start to set up systems. I think that's where CAC really comes into play, and
Mhm.
that we help people to build systems. And I'm definitely tooting a lot of like CAC horn today. But it's because I truly believe that what we have works,
Yeah.
and the people that we work with agree. And I know that there are many people out there, especially in this environment, that are truly struggling. And there are many different venues out there, many different ways that people can budget, whether that's extreme budgeting,
Mhm.
or it's something where you're like, I want some flexibility. There are options out there for you. We're one of them. And we'd love to work with more people who
Yeah.
are struggling. And also, not even those who are struggling, but those who are like, I want to level up.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily on the struggle bus, but I want to know how to optimize my money. I want to be more informed,
Mhm.
because I know there are people out there like that too. And there is a space for you, and we're here to listen.
Yeah, no, I think you said it perfectly in how we want to show up for people. And yeah, it's great to say, well, we're biased. Sure, we're biased. But at the same time, I think based on the work that we do and the passion that we have for the work that we do, we know what we've been through in our own personal experiences with money and how lost we felt at certain times. And it took a lot. I know for myself, I know you could probably echo the same thing to find our way through the process. And I
Hmm.
feel like if I was sitting outside of CAC, I was just a regular person and I was able to see what they have, I would be like, oh my gosh, this is really good. Not just because of the fact that there's a business that can do all the things I want, but they're coming from a place that feels very grounded and rooted in like, hey, we have you. It's a lot. We know it's overwhelming. We're not going to throw a bunch of jargon at you and say, go at it, and here's a couple pieces of information. No, let's talk about this. What are you emotionally
Yeah.
feeling? What are the systems we can put in place? What fits you correctly, not just everyone else, not one size fit all experience as well. So I want to close out by saying as much as we're in tough times right now, find people that can support you through that process and try and put systems in place like you said. And if you guys are interested in just talking to us and hey, what's a good opportunity for us, we're always willing to listen and help, because for us, I feel like we're very mission focused, helping people understand their finance first. If you'd like to interact with us in various different services, that's awesome. But I want you to walk away saying, hey, I talked to them and I feel more confident in my financial experience, especially in these times where things are really tough right now. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. With that being said, I'm glad everyone was able to join us today. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to put that in the comment section. Message us if you can. Have conversation. We're always willing to hear from you guys. But yeah, with that being said, have a good one.